Well, hello world and welcome to Miss Me. A very special day today. The return of Miss Lily Allen. The return of Miss Lily Allen.
Hello, she's back.
I can't tell you what it's like for me to sit here and look across and just see your fucking face. It's like,
Oh,
I did good, right? But
you did a really good job. I'm very, very proud of everybody on the team, especially Miquita Oliver, but all of the special guests. And
yeah,
it was really nice. It was really nice to listen to everybody, and also, just feel very grateful to have been given the time and the space that I needed.
Thank God, because we were running out of family members, like rapidly running out of family members of note in the celebrity world. So it's great to have you back. I'm so happy you're back, babe. I did, in fact, very much miss you.
Aw, missed me.
I fucking did. What have you been doing?
Well, I went into a sort of treatment center for a few weeks, which was great. I did lots of group therapy and some like individual therapy, and I just, I needed some time and space away from everything, and I did a lot of shadow work, lots of work about my inner child stuff.
All the good shit.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it wasn't not easy by any stretch. And it's a journey, it's a lifelong journey of healing. It's not a quick fix. But I've started meditating. I meditate every day now, at least 2 or 3 times a day. That's really helping me.
Are you using anything to do meditation with? Because I realized today I do need an app for it, which is an okay thing. That's not a disservice to myself. I need that to get there.
I am using an app called Plum Village, Plum Village is a place in south of France that was started by a Buddhist monk called Thich Nhat Hanh. Lots of his sort of prodigies, they all have like different meditations, which I use and for different things. So like for deep relaxation and for like connection to the earth. And
yes.
I'm not a particularly spiritual person, as we know, but it helps me to focus on my breath work and to try and be more living in the moment rather than, thinking about the past too much and worrying about the future too much. So that's what I've been focusing on. And then about a week ago, I came to LA.
Made your Instagram comeback.
I made my Instagram comeback. I have been commissioned to do a musical, so I'm here starting on that. It will be a long process, but this little stint is the beginning, and it's been going really well.
Back in the studio, yeah. I had an idea for another avenue of work within music that you could do, maybe in like your 50s.
Okay.
I watched this documentary about John Williams, who is a film scorer and composer. He did Jaws and E.T. and Star Wars and I think Home Alone, like most things you've ever heard in the 80s and 90s. And he was talking about the process of the way they score film, especially if you're doing like working for a musical. I imagine it's the same thing where you're like given these scenes and you have to decide like what music takes everyone else's emotions to different places. Like what you kind of there to like heighten the feeling for the audience of every moment.
Yeah, I mean, musicals are quite similar. I think, it depends whether you're working from, because I've done a couple of musicals now. One I did where, we were working from the book, from the script. And so we would just sort of read the script and figure out first we have to like figure out how many characters there are, how many songs each character is going to get. And then you figure out the emotional beats for each of those characters and where it would feel natural for them to express their sort of like theme.
Yes.
So that's how I did one. And then the next one that we did was an adaptation of a TV show. We didn't even have a script. So we just listened to the audio of the TV show. And then when it felt like, like there was an emotional beat that needed recognizing, we just wrote a song in that place. But this one is a more different approach. There's sort of one lead character and there's only about 2 or 3 supporting characters, so it's tricky. But yeah, we'll do it. We'll figure it out.
I think you're probably doing really well.
Why are you laughing?
I think you're probably nailing it. Yeah, he said John Williams, he wrote a theme for each character, not a song, a theme for each character in Star Wars, like Leia's theme.
Yeah, that's quite common.
Yes, I didn't know that. Yoda's theme. Everyone has a theme. I'd love to know, to how you write the music of a person and what they're about. How do you say that through music? But I'm sure you'll do. If anyone could do it, it's you.
Well, actually, the first musical that I did was really fun because it was set in the 90s, but it had people of all different age groups in it. And, I can be a bit of a musical snob. And one of the more fun things for me to do was to pigeonhole each character by what kind of music they might listen to. And
that is so much fun. Oh my God.
And then write a song in that style for them.
Right. What musical was that?
She's into that kind of music, and then you'd write that kind of song for her. I'm not going to tell you because it looks like it might happen again. So I'm keeping stum.
Okay, deep in the musical world right now. Well, I wanted today to be a very safe space for you. I wanted us to, touch on light subjects and nice things. So we're going to do the Gaza Riviera to begin. I think we should actually. I have quite a few things to say about it. Maybe we'll leave it for the end.
Maybe not this week.
Okay, Super Bowl and Grammys it is then.
I didn't actually watch the Super Bowl. I was so tired last night when I got back from the studio. So
I nearly texted you to say, please watch Kendrick at the Super Bowl. Just please make sure you watch that.
I watched clips of it this morning, so I'm aware of what happened. I watched the Grammys last week, and Kendrick won like 5 Grammys for They Not Like Us.
Not Like Us.
I mean,
what is it you think? Yeah, but I feel like
I do not. You know what? My grandfather once said to me, "Never gain or take enjoyment from another man's misfortune."
Schadenfreude.
Yeah, and I think that that's true. I don't really like that Drake has to suffer as a result of Kendrick doing so well. But there is...
I think Drake's fine.
Yeah, financially. Do you think he's fine in his head right now?
No, I really don't. And I think that's why it's important that actually Kendrick's win isn't about Drake losing. They can both be winning at the same time.
I think Kendrick's winning. As an outsider hasn't really studied this field, and the limited research that I have done, I feel like Kendrick is doing okay.
I want to talk about Kendrick. He's such a fucking insanely talented, gifted man, and seems like a real sweetheart. Someone said to me, "Oh, everyone's going on about his jeans," and there's an article about his jeans in the New York Times, for God's sake. But
I don't know what the jeans were. I didn't see them.
No, listen, man's is in a bell bottom because he's fly. It's the flyest shit you've ever seen, and I'm proud of him. I can't believe people are saying what a weird
bell bottom wearing. Yeah, good for him. Mm-hmm. Good for him.
That person knows how to dress. And also, can I say as well, he's in a Martine Rose varsity jacket. Martine Rose, a brilliant, influential, smart designer, Black British woman, and they've collaborated on a lot of stuff. So he's just he's just doing all the right things.
All the right things.
He's named after one of the Temptations, right?
Oh, right.
Eddie Kendrick. So I think we can safely say his mum is like a 70s soul funkadelic fan. And I feel like that he does have that vibe with his style, like a little bit like Superfly, blaxploitation, like streets vibe. I just think he's a creative person in everything he does, and I thought he looked absolutely brilliant. But he came to work. To work.
I mean, to be fair, you have to come to work when it's the Super Bowl.
Right.
It's no joke.
I wanted to know, rehearsals for something of that kind and of that level, you've got to be so committed and have such vision, right? To really pull something like that off. So they're in there for weeks getting this shit together for us.
Months. Yeah, I'd say months.
And Serena Williams doing a little
Crip
walk. Serena Williams,
over Drake's grave.
Oh my God. If you look at the last few years of Super Bowl halftime show, 250. How many people watch it?
The whole of America.
The whole of America. Rihanna, we've had Dr. Dre, we've had Usher, and now we've got Kendrick. I do feel like there must be a part. Actually, I don't feel. I read that a lot of Trump supporters are very disparaging about Kendrick's performance.
No.
Funnily enough.
Really?
Funnily enough, they won't enjoy it.
That surprises me.
But if you think about it, this has been like, for me, there is a sort of Trump America energy. And so if this is America's big holiday and like, let's celebrate.
And it's about to go worse.
If you look at the last 5 years, it is crazy that there's this kind of moment of black power and blackness within this huge event that means so much to so much of America. I don't know, I just think it's kind of crazy. They keep booking black people to do the halftime show.
Well, I think that Jay-Z runs it. Doesn't Rock Nation, they have the contract that books the acts.
Oh.
I think I was under the impression that is what happens.
It was nice. It was nice.
While, sort of populism is on the rise and things are quite contentious over here politically, and having conversations about there being two genders all of a sudden, and people's rights seem to be being ripped away from them left, right, and center. So if there was ever going to be a time to make political statements on a large stage, then somewhere like that would be a very important place to do so. And also, let's not forget that a huge percentage of American football players are Black.
Yes, very, very true.
And I think that it's important that they feel represented by, culturally within that sphere. So I think, it's all where it should be.
I mean, if you want to talk about black men running America in the places they can, I guess they really are. At the Grammys, like Dr. Dre's getting a Global Impact Award, Kendrick's sweeping the board, Jay-Z's there as the sort of godfather of them all. And we're talking about
Is it Tyler Perry? Is that his
Tyler
name?
Perry, exactly, in film.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Oprah as well. We're talking about people that have come from lives with no money, so single parents, a lot of them. Kendrick's Compton, Jay-Z's the Bronx.
Marcy Project, Brooklyn.
And if you think about the kind of wealth disparity in just New York, like when I was leaving your house and driving to JFK, and because you're in Brooklyn, like when you go further, you get the kind of more like, sort of Hasidic Jew communities, and it felt a bit like Stoke Newington, which is like Northeast London, and you go a bit further, and suddenly you are met with just this world of social housing that was like unfathomably big, large, vast places. And throughout the UK and in London, as we know, where we've grown up, social housing, council flats, housing trust flats, it's all mixed in, it's all threaded through. So we're talking about men that have come from this place that are told them they are outsiders and underdogs. And I feel like they run America now, these men. It's it's Cinderella story, really.
Cinderella story. I don't know how Jay-Z would feel about you describing his story, his ascension as a modern day Cinderella tale.
But yeah, big boys. Kendrick swept the board at the Grammys.
Did you watch the Grammys?
Yeah. I'm quite in love with the story of Doechii, and
we love Doechii.
What a fucking story. I mean, I suppose this story's all over the place, but just be able to see it and pinpoint these moments of despair, vision. Basically, there's all these videos around. I mean, I don't need to tell people, everyone's seen them, I'm sure, of her saying that she's actually, we have one. Let's just have Doechii tell us like how much she's been through.
So I got fired today. I don't give a fuck. Either way, I'm gonna be straight. I think tomorrow, I'm just gonna go to a whole bunch of like studios and like ask if they have any internships open, and also just like ask questions. Like, I don't fucking know. I'm just gonna go in studios. What else? Record label companies. Like, I'm just gonna go in and ask. Who gives a fuck? Like this, I have nothing to lose. I literally have nothing to lose. I have no place. I have no job. I have no children. Who gives a fuck? Who cares? Who fucking cares? I'm just gonna do it. I'll let you know how that goes.
I'll let you know how that goes, I'll let you know how that goes. 4 years later, she's on the Grammy stage.
That made me feel really emotional.
Oh, Lil, why?
I don't know. I just love seeing people like believe in themselves and also like, be vulnerable. And she's like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And I think the bit that moved me was I'm just going to ask questions. I'm just going to ask for help. Like, I'm going to just be like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in that. And I think that we live in a world where, and I know we come back to this all the time, but we're hammered with images of people on social media telling us that they know what they're doing. They're on the right track. They've got what they know. They've got their goals. They're doing this and they're doing that. And it's actually just really nice to see somebody be like, I'm fucked. I don't have a clue what I'm going to do. I've got nothing to lose. I guess I'll just put myself out there. And, she also has a sobriety journey to talk about, which I find really inspiring.
Mm-hmm. I say that.
Which she talked about in her speech. I'd like to know more about that. But I think that, she's one of those people who just, you just look at her face and she just sort of beams, positivity and spirit. Who else did actually at the Grammys was Alicia Keys.
Yes.
I was lying in bed watching it and I was just like, someone is meditating.
Yeah, someone's living right. Alicia. Okay. But she does live right. She lives with Swiss Beats and they have what is it called? His kids mixed with she's really good friends with his ex-wife. They collect African art, creatively enhance each other. I feel like she's very close to her soul, Alicia Keys.
Yeah, she's very well connected to herself. Yeah. I was like, oh God, I'm a long way from that, but I would really like to be there one day.
Good goal. Alicia Keys, Grammy 2025. I get it. I totally understand. What was I going to say? When you were saying ask questions, right? This is what I've been in, Lil. The power of not knowing everything and the power of not really knowing what the fuck you're doing, but knowing that you're not going to stop. And with building this company at the moment, just having to have these intimidating conversations about investment and equity and etc. and margins and just stuff that I feel really uncomfortable actually. And I'm in a room with men in suits. So I'm I feel like a fool within it. But I realized that it's just like Kendrick and Jay-Z and Dr. Dre, which is it's a transference of skills. So all I have to do is take my hustling youth energy. We won't go into it, but squat parties, I looked after myself financially. So I am a hustler. I have a hustling past. And I feel like I just have to transfer the skills of getting about, chatting to people to this scary world of business. Because I feel like that's how Jay-Z and all those people made themselves a business of themselves. They just transferred their skills.
Yeah. Agree with that. But also I think in those, what you would describe as intimidating situations or, environments in which you, for whatever reason, have felt like you're, not meant to be in that space or whatever. I think that people find it far more endearing when people are truthful and honest about their lack of knowledge in a certain field and they're wanting to gain more knowledge. And so, asking questions than they would be if you walked in there going, I know it all. And I know I've got myself sorted. This is my plan. I don't think that attitude instills people with confidence. I think it actually arouses suspicion. Certainly for me, it does. If someone walks into the studio and goes I know, I got this. It's no, you don't, because it's about me. So
yeah, we haven't even started talking yet.
I've got this. I will tell you whether you've got this or not. How about you ask me some questions about what we're gonna do?
Yeah.
So
keep asking questions, just like Doechii.
Just like Doechii.
It's been a good month.
Has it been a good month?
No, I've had really quite a stressful month.
Come on, spring.
What are your spring plans, Lily? What do you want to be looking forward to for spring?
I'm going back to New York, and then I'm back here until the end of the month, and then got Miss Me shows.
Oh yeah. If anyone's thinking, God, what is Miss Me Live gonna look like? I think We can safely say somewhere along the lines of Kendrick, Grammys.
It's somewhere between Doechii's performance at the Grammys and Kendrick's Super Bowl performance.
Tino's going to be having a fucking heart attack.
As I said earlier in the show, I'm in Los Angeles. Now, when I was in my treatment center, the LA fires broke out. So this was happening completely unbeknownst to me because I had no access to my mobile phone. There was no TV. There was nothing. It was all very much about me and my head and the other people that were there and their heads. And so, yeah, the outside world was to, make no effect on the work that we were doing, the inner work. And so then when I got out and heard about these fires, I was like, fucking hell, that seems so intense. And then, a week later, I was out here. It's an interesting energy, I mean, LA is so vast anyway, and it happened in sort of 3 or 4 different areas. I haven't been down to the Palisades or Malibu or, that part, which is where a lot of the destruction happened. And I know some people who's, have been affected more up that way.
Iona was staying Iona that works with me was in LA and sent me a video from her balcony. It was just like surrounded by fire.
Yeah, I mean, the pictures that people have shown me are really, really shocking. And I think that, it was one of those things where, people were sort of like sitting in their houses going like, is it going to happen? It doesn't normally jump the freeway. And, we should be safe. And then like a couple of hours would go by and people would be like, oh, should we start packing some things that we might want to keep? And then they'd hear about a fire down the road and they'd be like, okay, I think it's time to go. But it's also one of those things like, if it's time to go, isn't a grown-up going to come and tell me that it's time to go?
Fuck yeah.
Like these 40-year-old men sitting in their houses waiting for someone to come and say, yes, it's time.
This is the thing about natural disaster. You feel very, very small.
Yeah, well, you are. And lots of people that I know did, went and did different things. Lots of people went up to sort of Newport Beach and stayed in hotel rooms. Lots of people went more like inland to Palm Springs. Friends of mine that I'm working with all just got in a car in a convoy and went to Vegas for 4 days and just got absolutely hammered.
Just like, fuck this.
Yeah, well, their thinking was that like there's a major airport in Vegas, so they had their passports and everything that they needed, and if their house is burnt down, then they just get on a plane to London.
That's actually quite a good plan.
Yeah, so they did that, and then when disaster happens. Good people tend to sort of come together for the greater good and of the immediate communities that they are a part of. And it seemed to me like the last couple of weeks or the couple of weeks after the fires, everybody was, quite hands on deck in terms of like getting clothes together, food packages together. There were like all of these sort of drop off stations. People were, anyone that had a pickup truck was like helping people move stuff around. It really felt like a group effort to try and help people get their lives back together again. And everyone that I know that's here like was involved in the sort of clear up in some way or another. It reminded me a little bit about how the sort of Ladbroke Grove community came together after Grenfell. But there is, what happened around Grenfell as well is that there is like, residual trauma from what everyone saw, and all of the people that died. It was such a shocking sight. And then to know what happened afterwards, and to have sort of no answers from people, it leaves you with this sort of like anxiety, I guess, in your tummy, and people don't know what to do with that anxiety except for like just like try and go and help as many people as they can. So there's lots of like volunteering for Red Cross, for different charities, and people that work in fashion were like getting clothes packages together. People that worked in music were like putting on little events for people, and it just seemed like it's in those times where people really come together, and it's a beautiful thing.
But you can you see something visible in kind of like the fact that it happened in California but in LA, in a place where there is like money has there is devastation, but it's like devastated like a kind of different type of person in a different part of the world, because this kind of stuff goes on a lot, but not usually here.
Yeah, sure. Although I don't think, Altadena is not nearly as rich a district as Pacific Palisades. But, it is an interesting conversation because there are, natural disasters. I think, 20 or 30 people died.
Yeah.
But was a significant, amount of press coverage and attention that the fires got. And I think that the one thing is that fire is terrifying, right? But also, in the capitalist system in which we live, and our obsession with property ownership is a big factor, because you can read about, thousands of people dying in other instances, and that doesn't garner nearly as much attention as the idea that a few hundred people's homes burnt down. And so what do we value more, houses or people?
I mean, they're in Barbuda, next to Antigua, when they had this awful, horrific hurricane and storm, when the island was evacuated, as the people sat on the boats watching their houses be destroyed and people they love die, they just came in with the ships and started building and just started taking over the land and capitalizing on these people's horror and pain straight away.
It's happening here as well. I mean, I think that estate agents, property people have been steaming into, especially into the poorer areas and offering them, money that they could never, dream of for the land. And the intention is to, rebuild and probably make it into a, more desirable neighborhood and have all of those people moved out eventually. So
it's interesting that you're at the end of, or not the end, but you walked into an aftermath, because I have been in a natural disaster, and I think what you really don't understand is what that decision making when you're in it. My natural disaster was the tsunami. This is the Indian earthquake and subsequent tsunami in 2004, when I was on holiday for Christmas with Simon Amstel, just me and him. He saved my life, actually, because I was hungover because it was Boxing Day, and if I had slept in, I would have died.
What was Simon doing up?
Yeah, because he's sober. So he was like, let's go. And I was like, it's Boxing Day and it's 7 a.m.
He's your guardian angel. That's yeah.
But the real horror was like you were saying, making the decision. And our decision was basically we're sitting on the beach and this huge wave, the size of a skyscraper, starts rising, and then it gets wider. So it becomes like a city of wave coming at you. And I didn't want to seem embarrassing or silly or like a tourist. So when Simon was like, that looks terrifying, I was like, it's cool, man. Just be cool and don't embarrass me. And it's obviously just some Thai thing. But then we saw all the people screaming, and particularly Thai people who work and live there. And we were like, this is an issue. We turned around, we start running up to this hill, and all the local people were so unbelievably strong and brave, and were just hacking down fences for us to just keep being able to go higher up. A group of loads of us. I lost Simon. I thought he was dead for about 3 hours. Then we find him again, and then we're all on this bloody hill waiting for this other wave to come. And that was a horror that I have never experienced in my life. Just sitting on this hill waiting for a natural disaster to come sweep you up.
Take?
How long did we sit on that hill?
Yeah.
I don't know, 8 hours?
What, you saw the wave for 8 hours?
No, so the wave comes, right, like a city, and then you run. Obviously, I did not look back, but I could just hear crashing. And so I guess it crashed onto the beach, destroying everything. And we just kept going up, up, up to this hill where you could kind of see the devastation. And then there was just people, this was a long time ago. No one had mobile phones. People would have had mobile phones, but for some reason, I didn't have a mobile phone. But there were people saying we've heard of another wave in blah, blah. We have to move. It's coming. That's what the horror of it was.
And did it?
Yes, but once we'd been brave enough to leave. We and also you're with all these strangers that you were having cocktails with and breakfast with a few days before. And then suddenly you're like, okay, so to survive, Katie, we need to run down the hill, get in those trucks that have come and then just zoom out of here as quickly as we can. But everyone's like, but what if the wave comes once we get down? And it was like, well, then, I don't know. That was the 8 hours of debate. And then finally it was like, we have to just go for it. And then I think it came about an hour after we left or something. Fucking terrifying.
Have you done work around that?
No.
You need to.
I know. And something started happening. Fucking hell. Yeah. Something did start happening after that. Like my trip phobia started happening after that.
Your thing about walls and stuff.
Yeah. All that. But the worst thing was, excuse me, I call my mum and I say, I'm in a natural disaster. I'm terrified. We've managed to get up the hill to this place with it. And she was like, Miquita, I don't have time for this. I'm hungover, and hung up on me when I was in a natural disaster, and then turned the TV on, saw what was actually happening, and couldn't get hold of me for like 24 hours.
I bet she felt so guilty.
She said, you were at quite a cry wolf place at the time. So how were we to know?
I was so awful. So many people died in that tsunami. And it was everywhere. It was in Sri Lanka, right? India, Thailand.
It was like the world was having a physical fit. Felt like a whole edge of the world was just freaking out. I think there must be something to learn from a natural disaster. Like Uncle Nick was in 9/11. That's a different thing. But you've never been in anything like this.
I was in an earthquake in Jakarta.
The real serious one.
Yeah, I was doing a gig in a skyscraper, and I think it was like 8.7 or something. It was quite big.
Theo was with you.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
And we had to run down the stairs because you can't get in the lift, obviously. So, but it was really weird because it was we were doing a gig for like a football channel. So it was like me, Dennis Wise, Gianfranco Zola, and a couple of other people, maybe like Glenn Hoddle or someone, like, and running down the stairs for like 20
You're like, we're not going to die because I'm not
maybe
dying.
Paul Ince, I can't remember. Anyway, and it was just like a weird group of, maybe Alan Shearer, like there was just a group of like weird like footballers from
footballing
York.
legends.
Yeah, and yeah, we just run down the stairs, and we were on the like 55th floor or something, so it took fucking hours to get down.
I'd be consoled by that because it's like Glenn Hoddle, Lily Allen, Alan Shearer aren't all dying today, are they?
I was really shook up by it, though. I mean, excuse the pun.
I think that a comfort in any kind of disaster is famous people being there. Because it's like, I'm not dying with them today. On the flight back from Kenya, I was like, this turbulence is freaking me out. And then I looked across and I saw Alan Yentop. I was like, nah, no one's dying today. Me and Alan Yentop are not perishing on the flight back from Kenya. Oh, anyway, okay, that's enough, I think.
Do you think we've done enough?
I think we've done enough. It's a total, absolute pleasure to have you back.
I know I'm not like quite back to my peppy self. I will give you a little disclaimer. I'm quite highly medicated.
Yeah, but it feels like better medication this time.
Yeah, by the way, the medication that I was on last year like sent me fucking crazy. So I've had to change. I've had to like come off of that medication and start a new one. And that was, a big part of where, things became really unmanageable for me. I remember before I came to America, my friend Olivia said to me, she should just be really careful of the doctors over there and the prescriptions that they prescribe you for things. And I listened to her, but I sort of thought maybe she was overreacting. But, I really think I was like done a bit of a number on one of the antidepressants that I got put on, and it really did not work for me. And but I think I'm on the right track. We'll see if this one is better.
You're doing beautifully. It's nice to know it was the pills sometimes, isn't it? It's like, oh, I'm not crazy. It was those pills.
It wasn't just the pills. There were other things going on too. But
it was
yes,
a terrible
the pills weren't helping. Yeah.
Well done. You wouldn't have even asked for a month off to go do this for yourself 5 years ago. You just wouldn't have. So if that ain't growth, I don't know what is. And I'm here for the year of abundance and all that it may bring. Welcome home, Lily Allen. Oh, okay.
also, the other thing is like I know people think that I hate my children. I really don't. I absolutely adore my children. And I'm in a situation now where I really have to be my strongest self for them. And I felt like I was getting, it was getting harder and harder for me to be able to show up for them in the way that they need me to. And yeah, it was a really big decision to have to like leave them for a couple of weeks, a few weeks to go and focus on myself. But ultimately, it was for them. Yes, it's for me, but it's for them, so that I can, get us through this bit. And I needed some help to be able to do that.
Also, I think that there's a real difference with Ethel and Marnie's ages at the moment, where like you might be shown that they're like your team right now.
Yes and no. I mean, I don't want them to ever feel like they have to prop me up. Like, none of this is their fault, and and it's my job to support them and make them feel safe and secure. And I just don't think I was able to do that because of the sort of emotional turmoil that I was in at the time. But I do feel like I am now. So I'm not saying I'm 100% there, and I'm not saying that I'm getting it 100% right or ever will, but I'm definitely in a stronger place to be able to do
You're just the fucking cutest.
Oh, thanks.
Very proud of you. Very proud of you. Okay, let's end this and let's not push it. Let's not push it.